Today I want to consider a question that is often raised in one form or other, but I want to consider it with regard to a particular phenomenon, which I'm not going to be explicit about here because this is YouTube, and I'm even going to take the added step of caution of only posting this video on my backup channel, which is YouTube is my whore, no wiki. YouTube is my whore, all one word, mashed together as if it were one big word, no wiki. So those of you who are watching this video who only generally watch my main channel, Andy Nowicki, probably came over here because you were referred by the link in a short video that I gave for that site to this, my backup site. But the question that I'm asking is a bigger one, and it's something that relates to the powers that be, generally speaking. We really have to walk a tightrope when we're considering the powerful. I wish I had some shorthand to describe them. You know, James Corbett made up the powers that shouldn't be, and that's a pretty clever one, pretty accurate one too. I don't feel like I can just take his intellectual property and claim it as my own. I mean, I don't think he'll sue me or anything, but I just kind of feel like a fraud using somebody else's terminology, or maybe I have too big of an ego. I want it to be my own. And but let's just call them the controllers right now. Calling them controllers, I know already cedes too much, as you'll see in a minute with what I'm about to say. But it's just the terminology I'm going to use in lieu of having anything better to call them. By the controllers, I mean those with the real power, those who are really steering the ship while they take us through these sham democracies where they claim we're the ones who are, you know, that if the future's in our hands, the ordinary citizen, and we get to decide where things go, and when in fact it's totally out of our hands. It's totally up to them. Now, when I say it's totally up to them, I don't mean that they have all the power, because again, this is the tightrope we have to walk. If you speak of them having all the power and of yourself as being powerless, what you are essentially giving them or ceding to them is godlike status. Nothing would happen if they didn't want it to happen, right? Just like one could say about God, nothing happens unless it's His will. You know, if you believe in God, then that's something. You know, by definition, God would be omnipotent. Then that's something that has to accompany your belief in God. Now that gets you into thorny territory, of course, and almost immediately. You have to explain why God allowed this or allowed that to happen. You know, to the question of why God allows evil to take place, why bad things happen to good people and all that. But we're not talking about God, we're talking about the controllers, in lieu of a better term. So the controllers have the power, yes, they have the true power, but saying that they have all the power, claiming that nothing happens unless they want it to happen, is basically, you know, that is the black pill in a nutshell. That's saying they're anticipating your every move. That's saying whatever you decide to do to try to resist them, they've already thought ahead and known that you would try that, and they're doing these things to mitigate whatever steps you or anybody else is taking, you know, to resist them, to go against them, to forge out a better future than the dystopian one that they have in mind. So, you know, you go too far in that direction, and you're basically saying, you're basically giving them what they want. You're basically saying they control everything, we control nothing. Nothing we can do will change anything that they are planning to do to us. You know, so just shut up and take it. You know, that's basically it. You know, just lie back and take it and make the best of it. Obviously, that's not the way that we should view things. Not only because it's demoralizing, and of course they want us demoralized, but also because I would say it's not true. Things do happen that that are not what they planned, that are not what the controllers planned. The controllers do not have supreme power. You know, again, if you believe that, then they've already won. They've already won. So that's why I'm so strident in my my attitude towards people who are black-pilled. It's not that I don't understand being, you know, having a sense of things being dark, and it's not that I don't get despair. I do. I mean, I have lived most of my life, you know, on the edge of despair. Most of my adult life, anyway. So I get it, but it's not something you can yield to. It's not something you can just give into. But on the other hand, you know, you've got to acknowledge the existence of the controllers, because if you don't acknowledge that things are going on, you know, without your permission, without the permission of most people, if you don't recognize that these whatever you want to call them, oligarchs, billionaires, what have you, if you don't recognize that these what Scripture calls, you know, principality, we struggle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, thrones, and dominions. I think that's close to the exact quote, but I might be a little bit off. But that's definitely the idea. If you don't, if you just say, that's just a conspiracy theory, and you know, you're just a conspiracy theorist if you believe those kinds of things, you know, and if you believe the media is totally controlled, it never says anything that you know would go against the dictates of those who are pulling their strings and what have you. If you deny all of that, which is again what they want you to do, you know, it's funny because it's not funny, haha, but it's interesting that because it's in their interest both to have you black-pilled, to have you think, yeah, nothing you can do, little man, just sit back and take it, and make the best of it, because it's going to happen whether you like it or not. It is in their interest for that idea to get out there, but it's also in their interest to try to demonize so-called conspiracy theorists, especially now. Like I've said, it wasn't always this way. A couple of decades ago, you know, conspiracy theories weren't looked at as malicious and malignant the way that they are today. but today in particular, and especially for the last 5 or 6 years, let us say, basically it's been a full court press to try to give the worst PR imaginable to quote-unquote conspiracy theorists, because they are seen as a real threat right now, because even though some of them are more right than others, what they have in common is seeing through the veil, and they therefore must be made to look silly and ridiculous whenever possible. And the way that some of them behave, it's not that hard to portray them as silly and crazy. I'm not going to mention any names, but I think I think of at least a couple of people, who, if their demeanor were different, they wouldn't come across as crazy. But anyway, that's getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. Let me stick to, so having brought up this larger question, this larger issue of us needing to walk this tightrope between just being credulous enough to think that the controllers don't exist and they're not powerful on the one hand, and on the other hand, resisting just thinking that they are totally in control of everything, and you have no choice but to just let them do their worst, because they're going to get their way no matter what. We have to walk in the middle. Yes, they are powerful. Yes, they are malicious and malignant. Yes, they are evil. But we do have free will. We can resist. Each of us finds our own way to resist the controllers. We don't all do the same things. We're not all talented in the same kinds of ways. So use your gifts, use your God-given abilities, your God-given talents in the way that would be best, that would be most advantageous in your own case. Okay, so here's where I get to the question. You know what? I'm going to make a separate video with that question in mind. I think, because I didn't expect to go on quite this long, I didn't expect to ramble this much, but I think what I've said here gives a good solid background to what I'm going to say in a minute. So for the next video, you're only going to see it on my backup channel, and let me record that video now. Thanks for watching this one. See you in a minute.